As usual, please don't take any screenshots, recordings, or photos of the call without the express permission of the AGJC. For a roundup of recordings of previous calls, you can check out the AGJC YouTube channel. With that out of the way, I'm going to hand it over to Huda to introduce the call this week.
Thank you, Jake, and welcome back. We missed you a few times. Welcome to the AGJC's weekly Pre-Shabbat Zoom. Each week, we gather together, the Jewish communities of all 6 GCC countries and our families and friends from around the world to hear an inspirational message before Shabbat, light candles, hear our Torah from Rabbi Abadi, pray and read a section from the weekly Torah portion. Today, we will hear from Roy Hessing, the chairman of Maccabiyah, who will share with us about the games which recently took place. I followed Maccabiyah for a while, but this year, I had a personal connection to the games, as my cousin Danielle was the captain of Team GB's netball team. She's actually on the call with us. We're all proud that she and her teammates finished in 2nd place, and I actually got to see her medal when I was in London a few weeks ago. The Association of Gulf Jewish Communities is the umbrella organization for the Jewish communities of the GCC countries that are building and enhancing Jewish life in the region. While each community is independent, we share a common goal and vision for Jewish life to flourish in the Gulf for the benefit of both residents and visitors. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you will join us next week as well. To stay updated on AGJC events, please follow us on Twitter at GulfJewish and visit our website, www.gulfjewish.org. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom from Bahrain.
Thanks, Huda. It's great to be back with you, and Mazel Tov to Daniela. Great achievement for my home nation, although I suppose at the moment I have a bit of a dual loyalty to the UAE as well. To light candles this week, we now turn to Laura.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Renberg, and I'm in Amsterdam, and I am representing Maccabi Europe and Maccabi Netherlands. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Laura. I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce Alex's best wishes in the chat, but his linguistic capabilities are coming in useful over here. For Yedid Nefesh, over to Yoel, and after that will be Lechadodi with Alex.
Yedid Nefesh, Shal v'rachaman, משוחדיך רצונך ירוץ עבדך כמו היד ישתחווה מול עדרך ירב לו ידידותיך מנופי צוף וכל טעם אדוני זיו העולם נפשי חולה תאוותך אנא אל רפאנה לה ויערות לנו עם זיווה אז תתחזק ותתרפא והייתה לה שמחת עולם ותיק אמונה רחמך וחוסנה על בן אהובך, כי זה כמה נחשפתי, לראות ותפארת עוזך, אליך עמדה ליבי, וחוסנה ואל תתעלם, יגאלנה ופרוס חבי עלי, את סוכת שלומך, תאיר ארץ מכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה בך, מהר אהוב כי במועד, וחוננו כי מעולם.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, כה מצאי מתוך אפיך, רהב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, ויהיו יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Yoel. Beautiful renditions. Shabbat Shalom. Introducing today's guest speaker is David.
Hello, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. My name is David Besemer, and I'm the chairman of Maccabi Europe. And I'm live from Amsterdam, and I'm very excited to see such a big group present today. And also many Maccabi friends are online, like Laura, like Martin Berliner, CEO of Maccabi Europe. Very warm welcome to Rav Abadi. Huda, thank you for inviting us. Yeah, I'm only here, my only job here today is to announce Roy Hessing. Roy Hessing is or was the CEO of the last Maccabiah, which was the biggest and I could say the best Maccabiah we ever had. Of course, the presence of President Biden during the opening ceremony is something that in the future it will be a very difficult task to make it even better than that. But we had a fantastic Maccabiah, and most of it is due to Roy Hessing and his team. Roy is with Maccabi for a very long time, and we hope he will remain with us also for a very long time. He's a big talent, a fantastic organizer. He's very young. That's something we think is very important in our meeting. So without further ado, I would like to give the mic to my colleague and dear friend, Roy Hessing. Thank you very much. And again, Shabbat Shalom from Holland.
Wow, Shabbat Shalom, Toda Rabba David. Hello, Shalom everybody. Friday in Israel. And I have to tell you that I was very happy about ending the last Maccabiah and starting the vacation. And actually our vacation started yesterday when the kids went back to schools and kindergarten. So only now, like a month after the Maccabiah, we can go back to breathe. And yes, we had a great experience. And David said that he doesn't have much to do today, but I think that in this call, David and the other Maccabi colleagues did a lot in order to make the last Maccabiah the best ever. We always say that you can prepare yourself and be a great organizers, but without the participants, without the great partnership between Israel and the diaspora, we will never be able to have a great and success Maccabiah. And I will give you a short presentation, but I will tell you that this Maccabiah, all of us had so many challenges that we've never had before. And it started and ended with the corona, with the virus. As you probably know, or you don't know, we had to postpone the Maccabiah in a year due to the reason that the Olympic Games were postponed from 2020 to 2021. And for us, as being the Jewish Olympics, we wanted to give the opportunity to the best Jews around the world, by the way, as well as amateurs, to be part of the games. So we didn't want to have the two sets of games together at the same summer, the Olympics and the Maccabiah. And I think that that was the easiest decision to take to postpone the games. And since the Maccabi World Union took the decision with all the lay leaders and the professionals around the world, the challenges started with the question whether or not we will be able to have the games in 2022. And again, David said, I think that we had a great preparation, but we also had a great of luck. The corona, the virus, ended like 3 or 4 months before the games in Israel. And it was very clear that Israel will be open for everybody without any restrictions. And it was like a dream if we were having a Zoom calls like 6 or 7 months before the games, everybody always asked us questions about the virus, and all of a sudden it disappeared. And together with the attendance of President Biden, that again, it was a lot of luck that he was at the same time in Israel. But since we understand that he's going to be in Israel during the period time of the Maccabiah, we've made a lot of efforts with the different offices in Israel, with the Prime Minister office, with the President office, and we spoke many times with the White House in order to bring the president to be part of the opening ceremony. And I think that his attendance gave the Maccabiah like the gushpanka, the signature that it is an international important event. And from now on, we will always try to invite presidents from around the world to be part of the opening ceremony. And I really think that in 2025, the next Maccabiah, I'm not sure if it's going to be the president of the States, but I'm pretty sure that we will be able to bring to Israel for the opening ceremony like elite A leaders that are not Jews to be part of it, to salute to the Jewish Olympics in Israel. And I think that it will take the Maccabiah from one level to another. I've made a presentation, and if you can open it for me to screen, like to give you a short brief about who we are. I assume that for David, Laura, and Martin, it's obvious, but I really wanted to give you some more information about how big is the Maccabiah, how important is the connection between Israel to diaspora as a part of a Maccabi World Union. So I will take you to the presentation. Just let me know that you can see it now. Perfect. So the original dates of the Maccabiah was 2021, and we had to postpone it due to COVID for 2022. If you don't know, the Maccabiah is the largest Jewish Zionist event. I know that part of you just celebrate the 125 years in Basel together with many Jewish organizations. But we celebrate Maccabi World Union 100th anniversary last year, and the Maccabiah celebrate 90 years since the first Maccabiah that was held in 1932, even before Medinat Israel was established. And one of the things that we are very proud of, that the Maccabiah is actually the second largest sport event worldwide, only after the Olympics. And this Maccabiah, that's presentation, we gave this speech before the last Maccabiah, but I can tell you that after this Maccabiah, I'm pretty sure that in 2025, we're going to break another record and to be the first and the biggest sport event worldwide, because we know that the Olympics is not going to enlarge their participation for more than 10,500 participants. And I can tell you that this Maccabiah, we had 10,230 participants. So I assume that we will be able to break these records as well. The reason why we still have the Maccabiah is due to the great works that Maccabi World Union have in different continentals, and especially in the so many countries. So David said that he is the chairman of Maccabi Europe, which brought to Israel around 2,000 participants from 30 or 32 countries. It's not only about Europe, it's about North America, and of course the Latin American countries, Australia, South Africa, Israel, which is always very important for us to have many Israelis as part of the games. And altogether, we have around 100,000 members in more than 60 countries. We really wanted to have this Maccabiah for the first time ever. And I saw that Alex is part of this call, representatives from the Emirates. Unfortunately, we didn't get the approval from the government, not the Israeli, of course, but we really want to see more countries that are taking part in 2025, including the Emirates, including Bahrain, and including some other countries that hopefully we will be able to find the right connection to the Jewish community there. So I will not give you the numbers regarding the 21st Maccabiah, but I will tell you that in general, the Maccabiah is held every 4 years. Due to the virus, we had to postpone it in a year. So we had to wait another year. So we had 5 years of preparation towards the 21st Maccabiah. But it means that for the next one, we have 3 years only. So we actually started our preparations together with the conclusion of the last Maccabiah. We already started the preparation for 2025. And in between, on the calendar of the 4 years calendar of Maccabi World Union, we always have the regional games. The last one were in Budapest in 2019, the European Maccabi Games, and at the same time we had the Pan American Games in Mexico. I really hope that together with David and his amazing team, we will be able to have the European Maccabi Games, whether in 2023 or 2024. But we definitely are going to have the Latin American Games in Argentina by the end of 2023, the beginning of 2024. And I can tell you that those kind of games, sets of games, are really important as a preparation to the entire countries for the Maccabiah itself. It's a very important milestone towards the Maccabiah. And we are very happy that those sets of games are still bringing together so many Jews from around the world. At this Maccabiah, as I told you before, we had 10,230 participants, came from 63 countries, and we had 44 different sports, including a few sports that were held for the first time at the Maccabiah, like paddle, like surfing, like beach football. And I can tell you that it was a huge success due to a great work that we did together with the Israelis. Usually, the entrance around the world, especially in the countries that are bringing the athletes to the Maccabiah, is very high. But the Israelis, it's like another event. And we said that it's insane that we're having like the second biggest sport event worldwide in Israel, and the Israelis are not very well connected. And we decided together with the ministers, together with the different municipalities in Israel, to share this information with all the Israelis, to make the Maccabiah open to everybody. That myself, that I have 4 kids, will come with my kids to support, to be engaged with so many countries, to take part either as an athlete or as someone that come to cheer and to be connected to a very, very good level of sport, and especially to organizations that are coming together to Israel to celebrate together a fun event. And I can tell you that for the first time ever, we really succeed to make every and each single sport fully crowded. We couldn't find tickets for most of the sports. And for the first time ever, I think that the Israelis were very well connected to the Maccabiah itself. And by the way, it works for both sides. Those that came from Australia, from Europe, from America to be part of the games, all of a sudden saw the Israelis, and the connections between to the participants from the diaspora to the Israelis were much better than it was in previous Maccabiot. So how we did it, without an Olympic village like they are building for each and every Olympic, we don't really need an Olympic village in Israel. We created the entire Israel as an Olympic village, as an Maccabiah village. And from Eker, Tiberias to Beersheba, we had so many activities in different cities. We had 3 main cities, Jerusalem, which is going and will ever be the capital of the Maccabiah, and we celebrate there the opening ceremony together with President Biden, but not only with President Biden, with so many supporters who came to Israel to support their families members and to be part of these games, and with so many Israelis. It was a live broadcasting at the Israeli channel, Keshet, which is the most attractive channel on the most attractive day, Thursday night. And I can tell you that the rating was amazing. I sat with the CEO of the Keshet, of the broadcasting channel in Israel, like 6 months before the games, and he didn't believe it, the Maccabiah. He said, no, it's going to be boring. He said, no. I can guarantee that it's going to be an amazing event, and the Israelis will look after it. And he said, really? I said, yes. I said, let's give it a chance. He gave me a call 10 minutes after the opening ceremony was ended, and he told me, Roy, you're right. I still don't have the rating, but I can tell you that the show was absolutely amazing. The day after, he gave me a call at 12 o'clock. It was Friday. And he told me, do you know what was the rating? I said, no, I have no idea. He told me, what do you think? I told him, you told me that if it's going to be above 12%, it's amazing. He told me the peak was 21%, and the average was 16. That's amazing. So I can give you now the feedback from one of the most expert guys in Israel regarding rating that told me that it was very important, and he took the right decision. To give you some facts and figures, and I will not go over, but it is something that is very complicated to arrange, to organize. We ended up with 32 hotels due to the reasons that the Maccabiah became very big, with so many kosher meals and bottles of water. And of course, it is Israel, so we need to take care of the participants with some security hours and volunteers and employees. It is very, very important, and it is very hard to organize. But the Maccabiah contributes so much to Israel, and especially after this Maccabiah, I think that when I will go back to the Israeli government and will ask for their support, I will not have to explain again why it is so important. After this Maccabiah, I'm pretty sure that the Israeli government will support us more. It brings to Israel a lot of money. We are around 10,000 participants with, I assume, around another 10,000 supporters that are coming for 3 weeks in Israel. And it's not only the money. It's about to improve the sport facilities and to bring to Israel new Olim. Yeah, we are very happy that 5% of those that are coming to the Maccabiah deciding to make Aliyah. And whether they are great athletes as Tal Brody, David Blatt, and Daniel Tenenbaum, or amateur athletes that want to fulfill their dream and to come and live in Israel, it is very important to us to see that they are coming to Israel. As I told you before, we decided to update the Maccabiah values for 2022. So it's not only about sport and Zionism. It's about Israel as a leading country. It's about technology. Of course, it's about sport and culture, and to strengthen the connection between the Israelis to the diaspora. But it's always it's about friendship and solidarity, and about together. You know, in Israel, at the last, and I'm not talking about politics at all. It's more about fighting and less about to be together. And the Maccabiah really brings everybody, not only the diaspora to Israel, but even the Israelis together. It doesn't matter if you are Maccabi or Hapoel, Beitar, religious or not religious. This is an event that is open to everybody. And I think that it is very unique at these times, especially in Israel. We decided, as I told you before, to change a little
I'm
bit.
sorry, I apologize for interrupting, but just we need to wrap up your presentation in the next couple of minutes. If
Sure.
if that's okay.
I
No
have
problem.
another three slides. So as I told you before, we decided to speak and to try to connect the Israelis and the youngest to the Maccabiah in order to bring the level of the Maccabiah to the Israelis as well. We did it through the marketing channels, through the social media, and we brought to Israel many like leaders that will take the Maccabiah for another level. We created many events that were open to the Israeli and for those that came from the diaspora in order to meet each other. And I really hope to see you at the Maccabiah in 2025. As I told you before, we really want to break all records, to be the #1 sport event in the world, but most important, to have an amazing time with Jews from around the world here in Israel. Thank you for listening.
Rory, thank you so much. David, I understand you'd like to come in and close just for a minute.
Well, Jake, only to mention, we as an organization decided that the Gulf region is going to be part of Maccabi Europe, which is, I think, good news because we're a pretty solid confederation and we most welcome you, and we already are in close contact with Huda. And like Roy said, the regional games, we are going to organize the European Maccabi Games. Location will be announced before the year ends. It will be in 2024. And of course, I hope to welcome many of your junior, senior, and master athletes over there in 2024. So the social experiment today, experiment that I want to do is, please follow Maccabi Europe on Instagram or on Facebook, or preferably both. And then you will be updated of all of our activities, especially the regional games. Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, David. Thanks again, Roy. Mazal Tov on an incredible event. I had friends who were there in person and sharing their experiences on social media, and I was very jealous that I wasn't able to be there celebrating an incredible occasion with you. Actually, in recent months, we've started in the UAE, in Dubai, a Jewish football group, and maybe in 2025 there'll be a possibility to compete. Right now, we probably have enough for a futsal team, but the way the community is growing over here, maybe we could even do 11-a-side by 2025 and represent the Gulf communities. So something to look forward to. Rabbi Abadi, please, your address.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you, Roy and David, for a beautiful presentation about the Maccabiah. Indeed, the Maccabiah is an incredible organization, incredible event that unites Jews from all over the world, from all walks of life. That's beautiful. I understand that there will be a winter Maccabiah coming up. We were already invited. It looks like I'm going to need to change the room, so let Alex read the parasha and I'll go after Alex.
Some logistical issues with Rabbi Abadi's family over there. So for now, as he suggested, we'll go straight to Alex, who's going to read a section of the parasha in Hebrew, followed by a translation into English by Lara.
So thank you, Roy. I really wish, like Jake said, that in 2025 we're going to be able to make sure that you have more participants than in the Olympics, and that we're going to have participants from Bahrain, participants from the Emirates, and I look forward that the flag of those two countries would be represented by the Jewish community of both countries.
Amen.
I also want to say hello to David and to Laura from Amsterdam, the neighbors of my home country, and I saw that Martin just left, but Martin too. So let's read from the Pasha. שופטים ושוטרים תיתן לך בכל שעריך אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך לשפטך, ושפטו את העם משפט צדק, לא תטה משפט, לא תכיר פנים, ולא תיקח שוחד, כי השוחד יעבר עיני חכמים ויסלב דברי צדיקים. צדק צדק תרדוף למען תחיה וירשת את הארץ אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. Laura, over to you. Laura, you can translate in Dutch if you want.
So Huda sent me the
No, I'm joking.
Oh, okay. You shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in all the settlements that the Lord your God is giving you, and they shall govern the people with due justice. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall show no partiality. You shall not take bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the discerning and upset the plea of the just. Justice shall you pursue, that you may thrive and occupy the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not set up a sacred post, any kind of pole beside the altar of the Lord your God, that you may make, or erect a stone pillar, for such the Lord your God detests.
Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Alex. Rabbi Abadi, are you able to share your address, or are you still experiencing some family issues?
I am here. You're going to be hearing some minor
Brilliant.
7, 8 kids.
It's called nachat. It's not
Yes.
called disturbance. It's called nachat.
Exactly. I remember in my congregations always when some parents would apologize for the noise that their kids made in the synagogue during prayers. I always would tell them, kids' voices and interruptions don't bother me. It's adults' conversations in the middle of the prayer that should not take place. Very well. So again, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward for the winter Maccabia. Maybe by then we could resolve all the issues and the community of the Emirates can be represented there. So is it really that noisy? Is it that noisy?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So we all have heard of a system of justice and system of law and order. Practically every country in the world, and many of those countries are countries that are represented by us here in this Zoom, they all have a system of justice and they all have a system of law and order. Of course, some, and they range from the most corrupt to the least corrupt. And I must say, I don't know if there is any such country that is not corrupt at all. But we do hope that always countries should strive for a justice imparted with justice. As it was read beautifully just a few minutes ago, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice you shall pursue justly. And of course, this system of order and law of order, a country cannot really exist without these two systems of justice and law and order. And sometimes we ask ourselves, how could it be that such countries that are so corrupt, and we see the corruption, it's so clear that they still exist? Well, apparently that even at the minimum of a system of justice and law and order, that could sometimes hold that country to a certain time. And then unfortunately, there is revolutions and there is a change in government. But indeed, that is so important that it is one of what's known as the 7 Noahide laws, 7 laws that were given to Noah to really establish a civilization, a humanity. A world cannot exist without law and order and without a system of justice. But if we pay attention to the formulation of the verse, of the pasuk in the parasha itself, that it says, Shofetim veshoterim titen lecha bechol sha'arecha, that judges and officers you shall place at the gates of your city. And as you know, the Torah, whenever the Torah has something written in it, it has to make sense, first of all. And secondly, if it doesn't make sense, then there's an interpretation to it, which means just at the superficial reading, if there is a question that arises in our mind is why it was written this way, that means there is a learning, there is something to learn from that different writing. And so here, it should have said, Shofetim, judges and officers, you shall place at your gates in the plural. Shofetim veshoterim titnu lachem, in Hebrew means titnu lachem. But yet the Torah writes, titen lecha, you shall give to yourself as an individual. And so, of course, our sages interpret this pasuk that, of course, the simple meaning of the pasuk that a country without system of law and order and system of justice cannot exist. But they interpret that the way the Torah wrote it in the singular, titen lecha, you shall give to yourself as a singular person, it's giving us a different message also. And that different message is that we as individual people, we ought to place judges and officers on our gates, so to speak, before we are able to place judges and a justice system and a law and order system in the country in which we live in, or in the state, or in the city, or the community, or the neighborhood that we live in. First and foremost, we need to place those justices and those officers on ourselves. We ought to be those judges of our actions, judges and officers of what we do. And in fact, they explain sha'arecha, your gates, which means all those gates that are part of our human body and our soul. And so what are the gates of our human body and our soul? First and foremost, our eyes. With our eyes, we allow things that we see, and all those images enter into our body and soul. Secondly is our ears. Whatever we hear, it penetrates who we are, and we know all of that gets internalized and does affect us positively and negatively. Our mouths, whatever we eat, whatever we speak. So all of those are known to be gates in a sense of our body and soul. And we ought to be kind of judges and officers. We have to have officers on those gates to make sure, are we allowing the right thing to enter our vision? Are we allowing the right thing to enter our ears? Are we allowing the right things to enter our mouths? Right? Likewise, in the mouth, are we allowing right things to come out of our mouth, not just what goes in? And so we ought to have officers, in a sense, in a proverbial way, that when we see things that we ought not to see, close our eyes. When we hear things that we ought not to hear, that's why we have these things. And everything that we have those gates. In our eyes, we have our eyelids that we can close them. Those are the gates. In our ears, we have our earlobe. In our mouth, we have our lips, and so on and so forth. And so we ought to be those judges to make sure that what goes into our body and souls are the right things, the proper things, the correct things. And what comes out of us, likewise, it has to be the right thing. Not seeing things that ought not to be seen, not hearing lashon hara, gossip, slander, evil tongue, not speaking those things from our mouth to the outside. And so the teaching is that before we are able to establish a system of justice in the public sphere, or in a law and order in the public sphere, we ought to establish those systems in ourselves to be able to control those things, to police ourselves, and to judge ourselves in the most sincere and honest way before we are able to bring it to the public spheres. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Abadi. As Donnie said, we all hope you get much nachat from the grandchildren, and I hope you enjoy being with them over Shabbat. Now we go to Jean with the prayer for peace.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everyone, for those beautiful presentations. I'm reading the prayer for peace, and this is adapted from Rabbi Nachman ben Fega. Lord of peace, divine ruler, to whom peace belongs, master of peace, creator of all things, may it be your will to put an end to war and bloodshed on earth, and to spread a great and wonderful peace over the whole world. Help us and save us all, and let us cling tightly to the virtue of peace. Let there be a truly great peace between every person and their fellow, and let there be no discord between people, even in their hearts. Let us never shame any person on earth, great or small. May it be granted unto us to fulfill thy commandment, to love thy neighbor as thyself, with all our hearts and souls and bodies and possessions. God, who is peace, bless us with peace. Amen.
Thank you, Jean. Ariella, over to you for the prayer for the GCC countries.
Thanks, Jake. May you give salvation to kings and dominion to princes, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, who delivers his servant David from the evil sword, who makes a way in the sea and a path through the mighty waters. Bless and protect, guard and help, exalt, magnify, and uplift. His Majesty, the King of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, the King of Bahrain, His Majesty, the Sultan of Oman, His Highness, the President of the UAE, His Highness the Emir of Kuwait, and His Highness the Emir of Qatar, and all their crown princes. And may the Supreme King of Kings in his mercy put a spirit of wisdom and understanding into their hearts and the hearts of all their counselors and officials to deal kindly with us, the house of Jacob, and all the people of this land. Be their shelter and stronghold, and let them not falter. In their days and in ours, may these lands be blessed with stability, prosperity, and peace. May this be his will, and let us say amen.
Amen. Thanks, Ariella. To sing us out with Shalom Aleichem, back to Yoel.
Thank Jake, and please join me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you very much.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom. תודה רבה.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Rabbi.